Last week, I completed week 1 of the Artist Way, and I have my notes here with some remarks and what I noticed during the week. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna tell you all about it. So first of all, this is all about creating art, right? But there was not really like a given task to create like something that you are usually passionate about. However, I was traveling and I was filming the whole thing, and I'm actually editing the vlog, my first travel vlog. And it was a lot of fun because for the first time I was noticing a lot of compositional things like golden ratio or rule of thirds, and I was trying to film in that way. So I was very creative and that made me very happy. And overall, when it comes to exercises, I did the morning pages 6 times out of 7, which is very nice considering that I was traveling half of the time. My artist date, I was actually planning to do something completely else. However, I was not feeling that well when I came back from my travels. So I just spent my whole day reading one of my childhood book series, and I finished the whole book. So that was my artist date. I was reading Rancher's Apprentice and I finished book 8 out of 17, I believe. And the author also wrote some other books. So that was my artist date for this week. However, the filming during my travels gave me an interesting idea for artist day that I'm definitely gonna use. When it comes to the exercises, I really like the structure of the book. The chapters are not necessarily that long, which is very nice, and then you have 10 exercises so far. I only read the week 1 and week 2 to prepare for this week, and out of the 10 exercises I finished exercise 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 and 10. There were some exercises that I didn't find particularly that exciting, so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do very well the exercises that kind of spark interest and joy and leave the rest. But it would be up to you to actually read the book and do the exercises. I wouldn't like to spoil them. I really like the questions, I really like the exercises, and they gave me some interesting and fascinating insights, and I have some notes about them. So there was one particular exercise that was about remembering what was kind of like building a block when it comes to your artist. And I found out thanks to this exercise that I actually really don't appreciate when I'm being restricted in any sort of way in my art. When there are some like very strict rules, or when it was for school and I had to create something and there was just like the box in which I have to create, and I couldn't let my creativity go and kind of like explore and be curious about it. I don't enjoy it. Another thing that I realized, I was very lucky growing up because I actually was not primarily artist. I was artistic in a lot of ways, however I was athlete. So my whole life growing up I was very focused on sports, and all the people were kind of like rating me through sports. And I actually viewed it as a little bit of a setback because a lot of people, they spend their whole life creating something. But I understand now that this setback can also have its own benefits, because a lot of people were not reviewing my art and telling me about my art and what I should not, and that I'm never gonna survive as an artist and all those things, because I was not creating that much. I was doing sports, so I didn't get those beliefs into my head about being artist and being artsy. And when I was reading through the chapter, because the chapter was mainly focused on beliefs and what you believe about yourself as an artist, I found out that I actually don't have that many blocks, which is true. Like, I don't really feel that many blocks. There were still 2 beliefs that I was kind of holding inside, which was very interesting to find out because I didn't know before. The first one was that you can only create one masterpiece during your whole life. That was kind of interesting belief to uncover, because when I think about it, I know a lot of examples where this is not true. There was like a list of beliefs and I was reading through them, and when I was reading this one, I was like, oh, there is something. Like, I partly believe this. For the second one, I actually have to look. Oh yes, the second one was that it's too late to become a full-time artist. I do content creation, so that could be considered being full-time artist, but it's also like a business kind of thing, like on a border of two things. However, it was also kind of connected to the belief that I was speaking about before, that since I was not like artist ever since I was a kid, it feels a little bit like I'm behind and I cannot catch up to people who were dedicating their time to being artsy their whole life. But you know, like, it's about the time that you put into it. And it was still very interesting to uncover those limiting beliefs. And then there was a quote that I really like from Carl Jung, and it says, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." The beliefs that we have about whatever, they are formed a lot of times based off the people around us and what they believe in and what they give us. Last thing, how I also started my artist way journey was that I did something that I really wanted to do for a long time. And when I was in Ireland, I got my septum pierced because I wanted to do it for so long, and I'm so happy about it. And I just feel more myself, and it feels like it was always there, which is kind of cool. That would be it. I really enjoyed this journey. I hope you joining as well, whatever is the time that you are watching this right now, and see you in the next one. Bye!